A very good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on data structures and algorithms course. In our previous session, we started the fourth unit and we discussed the some of the concepts from your fourth unit. So basically, we discussed the tree terminology. We have defined what exactly a tree is and the properties of the tree also we have discussed, and some of the terminology related to your tree data structure we discussed. We said a tree is a non-linear data structure with n vertices and n minus 1 edges, isn't it? N vertices and n minus 1 edges. Another important property of a tree is that if you take any two vertices inside your tree, there must exist only one possible path. There must exist only one possible path. Another important feature is your tree, it is a connected graph without any circuits. A tree is a connected graph without any circuits. If it is having a circuit, it no longer behaves like a tree. If your graph, if it is having closed circuits, or if it is having any circuits, then it will not act like a tree. Okay, so all these definitions we have seen in our previous session, and in today's session we'll continue further. Yeah, these definitions and these terminologies we have seen. Okay, then here after that we have seen the representation of the tree, that is list representation, and left child right sibling representation, that also we have seen. Okay, then yeah, here we saw stopped. Why we have to go for trees? What reason motivates us to select this tree data structure? That we have to see. So one reason to use this tree is trees will store the information in a hierarchical manner, isn't it? For example, the file system in our computer, if we see, like we are storing folders, and within folders subfolders will have files, we have all those things. Okay, it is something like a hierarchy we are storing, isn't it? All the data, all the information inside our computer we are storing in a hierarchical manner. So that is the reason we are opting this tree data structure. It resembles, okay, many situations, in many situations it resembles the file system, what we call the file system anatomy, we can say. How we are having files and folders in your file system, in that same way we have nodes, and we have links between the nodes in that hierarchical manner only. So the reason for using the trees data structure is because it is having close relation with the file system anatomy. Okay, the file system on a computer which stores the files and directories in a tree fashion only. Okay, trees provide moderate to moderate access or search. Okay, when compared with your lists and when compared with your what we call arrays, the search operation what we are performing, it will be like in a quicker manner. Okay, uh, of course nobody can beat arrays. They are the fastest ways because we have direct access to each and every element. But having arrays in our what we call computer science, or having arrays in our programming, there is a drawback, because arrays requires contiguous memory locations, and providing contiguous memory locations for all types of data may not be a perfect solution in all the cases. So that is the reason why we are moving towards other solutions like your linked lists, like your trees. Okay, so when compared with lists, your trees are the fastest data structures. When compared with lists, they are faster, but when compared with arrays, they are slower. We have other drawbacks in arrays. That is the reason why we are moving towards these trees. Okay, unlike arrays, trees don't have any upper limit for storing the elements. Yeah, we inside array, okay, after some point what will happen, the array size will exceed, and we cannot insert any more elements, isn't it? We cannot insert more elements into your array. So at that point, we have to, that is also one type of limitation inside your array. Because of that reason also, we are moving our attention from the arrays to other data structure because of the size limitation. And in your trees there is no upper limit and there is no size limit. Okay, there is no upper limit in the number of nodes, as nodes are linked using pointers. Nodes are just linked using pointers in your tree, so there is no upper limit. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why we are going for trees. And applications of these trees, if you see, it is used to manipulate the hierarchical data. So whatever data hierarchy, I mean data we are maintaining in hierarchical fashion, in order to manipulate such a data, we use these trees. Okay, then make information easy to search or easy to access, we can say. Okay, so whatever information you maintain with the help of these trees, the information will become easily available for access. Like we have search trees and we have AVL trees over there. Many of the advantages we are going to see in terms of access point of view. Okay, then manipulate stored list of data. So a sorted list of data, not stored, sorted list of data. So your by, I mean, when we enter into this trees concept, we will see like binary trees, binary search trees, then AVL trees, threaded binary trees, many different types of trees we are having over there. All information by default we are maintaining in a sorted order. Okay, if we go for binary search tree, the information in a binary search tree by default it will be in a sorted order. So when you are performing the what we call search operation on a binary tree, it will be much easier than performing the search operation on a list. List is a sequential data structure where you have to visit all the nodes unless you find the proper node, but whereas in case of search trees, no need to do in that way. Okay, at every iteration or at every traverse operation, the complexity will be reduced to half. Okay, that very soon we will try to understand. Okay, then this trees, they are used in routing algorithms. So we have routers, isn't it? We have routers. Okay, it is completely something related to CCNA. Okay, CCNA networking concept. What is a router and how the router uses routing algorithm in order to find out the shortest path for I mean what we call tracing the packet. All these are somewhat related to computer networks concept. At that time, when you study these computer networks, at that time you will understand. So simply remember that many of the routing algorithms, or we can say all of the routing algorithms in your computer networks, they uses this trees concept only. Okay, because here whatever systems, whatever active systems, active devices we are considering in our computer network, computer network is nothing but it is a kind of mesh only. It is a kind of mesh with vertices and nodes, sorry, vertices and edges. So network is something we are establishing the communication. So here all the computers you can take, like, just let me take the marker over here. Excuse me. So all computers, all active devices in my network, I can take as nodes, and the communication between those nodes, edges, like this. Okay, so it is more or less like a tree or like a graph only. So in case of routing algorithms, your routers will use this tree data structure in order to find the shortest path. Let us assume this computer A wants to communicate with computer F. Okay, then what are my possible paths I'm having over here? Of course, we are not drawing a tree over here, it is a graph. But when you have multiple paths, so what is the best shortest path in order to reach F? Okay, so in that sense, what we have to do, we have to remove the longest paths from our consideration. We have to remove the longest paths from our consideration. So indirectly what we are doing, when we are removing the longest paths, or when we are removing the unnecessary paths, unnecessary edges, we are forming a tree data structure only. We are forming a tree data structure only. In a graph, if you remove the unnecessary edges, ultimately it will become like a tree. So that is one of the advantage of a tree data structure in routing algorithms. Then multi-stage decision making in your compiler construction, where we have to do some sort of decision making when we implement the programs. So over there, these tree data structures, they are helpful in making the multi-stage decisions. Okay, so yeah, we have different types of trees. like the first one, binary tree, then threaded binary tree, then we have binary search tree and AVL tree. So in today's class, hopefully we deal with binary trees. Then in tomorrow's class, binary threaded binary tree, binary search tree. Both discussions will do, but binary search tree, as it requires two classes. So over here, this is one class, this is another class, and yeah, this is two more classes. This AVL trees, they will take like up to two more classes. So overall, six classes from today's class, including today's class, in 6 sessions or hardly in 5 sessions, I will try to wind up this entire trees concept. And as I said, this fourth unit, it is a weighted unit. I mean, it is having more weightage. So you need to pay more attention towards this unit, and whenever you have doubts, you can approach me. Okay, so quickly, without much wait, we'll continue with this binary trees concept. These are different types of binary, I mean trees, different types of trees. The first one is binary tree, threaded binary tree, binary search tree, and AVL tree. So we'll see what is a binary tree. A tree concept we have quite familiar. A tree is something, it is a data structure, non-linear data structure, where we are going to have n vertices and n minus 1 edges. That is the only logic behind a tree definition. So every node in your tree data structure can have any number of any number of children, we can say. Every node inside your tree data structure, or any node in your tree data structure, can have any number of children. There is no limitation on that one. So let us say we'll go and we'll see one simple example, this particular thing. Over here, if you see the A node, this is the root node of your tree. This is the root node of your tree, and it is having how many children? Two children it is having, B, C. A root node is having two children. That count I am writing over here. Then B node, how many children this B node is having? Three children. So 3 I am writing over here. Then C, two children. G, 1 children. H, 0 children. K, 0 children. D, 0 children. 0 child. Over here, E, 2 children. F, 0. I, 0. J, 0. Likewise. So there is no limitation. Or we can say, if we take this I, you can have here 4 children. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. This is also possible. In that case, what will happen? The I's children count will become 4 over here. Okay, degree, or degree we can say. So there is no limitation on the number of children. I mean, how many a particular node can have. There is no any limitation over here. But when we come to the binary trees, there is a limitation. See, if you just read the first point over here in this slide. In a normal tree, and if it is not a binary tree, if it is a normal tree, in a normal tree, every node can have any number of children. Every node can have any number of children, and there is no limitation on the children count. There is no limitation of the children count. But if it is a binary tree, so a binary tree, it is a special type of tree. It is not a normal tree. It is a special type of tree in which every node can have a maximum of two nodes, two children, a maximum of two children. Every node can have a maximum of two children. This thing, there is a limitation on the child count, and every node can have a maximum of two children. Whatever node, if it is a root node, if it is a child node, leaf node, whatever you take, internal node, whatever you take, every node should have a maximum of two children. Maximum in the sense either 0 or 1 or 2, nothing other than that. We can't have three nodes, children node. Okay, we can't have three children node. Okay, so likewise, a binary tree is a special type of tree data structure in which every node can have a maximum of two children. This definition you remember. This simple definition you remember. A tree in which every node can have a maximum of two children is called as a binary tree. Binary tree is also a tree, but the special property over here is every node must have a maximum of two children. Okay, so the child node, So the child node left side is known as, I mean, if you consider a particular node, the left side node of that node is considered as the left child. So suppose if we are talking about this, let us say we have a particular node over here like this, and if you are considering this node, the left side node of this particular node will become the left child of this node. Left child, we call it as left child, and right side node we call it as right child. So if you have like this here, we call this as right child. So this is left child, this is right child, like that, you remember. Okay, left child and right child. In a binary tree, every node can have either 0 children or 1 children or 2 children. Okay, 0 children, 1 child, 2 children, not more than that. So that is the reason why we said a maximum of 2 children. Okay, not more than 2 children. So this is the definition of your binary tree, only this definition. Your normal tree definition already we have discussed. The properties of the normal tree we have discussed. And now we are discussing the binary tree. And when we are discussing binary tree, you no need to differentiate that binary tree with the universe, isn't it? Just differentiate the binary tree with the normal tree. That's enough for us. Already we have differentiated the normal tree with the graph, isn't it, with the graph. So graph, we said it can be connected graph, it can be a not connected graph, unconnected graph. Okay, so if it is a connected graph and if it is having exactly n vertices and n minus 1 edges, we call it as a tree. And if it is a tree and if it is having exactly 2 children for every node inside it, then we call it as a binary tree. So quickly, this is a binary tree. Over here you can see the A node, the root node, it is having how many children? 2 children. So that is B and C, 2 children. B, it is having 2, D and E. C, it is having 2, F and G. F, it is having only 1, J. G, it is having 0. Okay, D, it is having 2. E, it is having 0. H, it is having 0, and I, it is having 0. So likewise, it is a binary tree. It is a binary tree. Then we see, yeah, there are 3 different types of binary trees. Again, this binary tree, it is further categorized into 3 different types. Okay, first one is strictly binary tree, complete binary tree, and extended binary tree. The first one is strictly binary tree. The second one is complete binary tree, and the third one is extended binary tree. So first one, strictly binary tree. So we said a binary tree is a tree with 0, 1 or more, isn't it? 0, 1 or more. So in a binary tree, every node can have a maximum of 2 children, we said. So 0, 1 or 2, not more than 2. But in strictly binary tree, every node should have exactly 2 children. Every node should have exactly 2 children or none or 0. 0 or 2 is allowed, 1 is not allowed. Remember this one. Strictly binary tree is a tree where every node in the binary tree will have either 0 or 2. Either 0 or exactly 2 nodes. Nothing in between or not more than that. Nothing in between and not more than that. Remember this one. That means every internal node must have exactly 2 children. If it is an internal node, it must have exactly 2 children, and if it is a leaf node, it has to have 0 children. Okay, a binary tree in which every node has either 2 or 0 number of children is called as strictly binary tree. There are other names to this strictly binary tree: full binary tree, proper binary tree, or two tree also. Full binary tree, proper binary tree, and two tree. These are some of the other names given to the strictly binary tree. Then the, yeah, this example you can see over here. This A is having 2. A is having 2 children. B is having 2 children. C is having 2 children. G is having 0. F is having 0, and H is having 0. Okay, then D is having 2, 0, 0. There is no one concept. All nodes, either they are having 0 or they are having 2. There is no one concept, or there is not, I mean, there is no concept of having more than 2 nodes. Okay, hopefully you understood this one. Strictly binary tree. See the difference, how they are concept wise, how they are differing. Only that small logic you have to remember. Tree it is having its own definition, its own properties. Binary tree, it is having simple definition. Definition only differentiate between tree and binary tree. And again, strictly binary tree, here also the different definition itself differentiate the strictly binary tree with normal binary tree. With binary tree and normal tree. So then we have complete binary tree. A complete binary tree is something where even the levels can't be incomplete. Even the levels can't be incomplete. So that is, if it is level 0, it should have 2 power level. How many nodes it should have at every level? It should have 2 power that level number. That many nodes we need to have. So 2 power level, whatever node count we will get, that many nodes we need to have, we should have in that level. So the first level, so if you take level 0, the first level, it will be level 0, isn't it? So at level 0, how many nodes we need to have? 2 power 0, that is one node. So root node only. At level 1, after this we go to level 1, isn't it? So level 1, how many nodes? 2 nodes. Exactly 2 nodes we need to have. Exactly 2 nodes. So that I'm taking like this. Let us assume 2, 3. Then at level 3, at level 2, 4 nodes, 2 power 2, 4 nodes. So here 1, here 1, and here 1, here 1. All the levels, they must be complete. Then at third level, 8 nodes. Here 2, here 2, and here 2, here also 2. Likewise, all nodes, they must have at every level, all nodes must have full child. Okay, full children. All nodes must have full children. Full children in the sense 2 children. So only the leaf nodes at the level, at some level, if you're taking the leaf nodes, and all should be leaf nodes at that level. So that concept over here is a binary tree in which every internal node has exactly 2 children, and all leaf nodes are at the same level. All leaf nodes, they must come at the same level. Then only we call the tree as a complete tree or perfect binary tree. Complete binary tree or perfect binary tree. So internal nodes, they must have 2. There is no 0 concept for internal nodes. Okay, internal nodes must have 2 children, and all leaf nodes, they must come at the same level. All leaf nodes, they must come at the same level. So over here you can see my root node, it is having 2. My root node, it is having how many? 2. 2 children. B is also having 2, C is also having 2, and all my nodes, internal nodes, they are having 2, 2, 2. Only the leaf nodes at level 3, only the leaf nodes at level 3 are having 0 nodes. This is my level 3. This is my level 3, and only the leaf nodes at level 3, and all leaf nodes, they are spanning on the same level. It should not be like that one leaf node is coming at level 2 and one leaf node is coming at level 3. It should not be like that. All leaf nodes, they must span on the same level. That means if you are proceeding to the next level, if you are going to the next level, from level 0, what we have done, from level 0 we are going to the level 1. So at that point you need to check whether level 1 is complete or not. Then only you are supposed to go to the level 1. So at level 1, how we can check whether it is complete or not? Simply take the level number 2 power. Okay, whatever level number you are having, make it as 2's power, and whatever value you are getting, that many nodes you need to have at that level. Then only we consider that node as a that level as a complete level. So over here level 0. Okay, level 0, how many nodes we can insert? Only 1. So that we are having already over here, that we are already having over here. The level is 0th level. This is level 0. This particular thing is level 0. So at level 0, how many nodes? 2 power 0, that is 1. That one node I am having over here. So I can shift to the second level now. First level now. So level 1, how many nodes I can have? Level 1, I can have 2 power 1, that is 2 nodes. I have 2 nodes over here, B and C at this level. This is one level. B and C I have over here. Then this is your level 3. This is your level 3. So how many nodes? 2 power, level 2 this is. This is level 1, so this is level 2. 2 power 2, that is 4 nodes. Already I have 4 nodes. So this level is also complete. So now this is my level 3. Level 3, 2 power 3, that is 8. Already I have 8 nodes. So I can shift to the next node. I can shift to the next level. So likewise, before shifting to the next level, you have to check whether your current level is complete or not. Okay, that is the complete binary tree, perfect binary tree concept. So then we have extended binary tree. If at all between the complete binary tree, in order to make the tree as a full binary tree. So over here, in order to make a tree as a full binary tree, that is nothing but strict binary tree. If something is missing, I mean if some nodes are missing, you can just add those nodes and you can make that tree as an extended binary tree. So over here, if you consider this tree, this is a normal binary tree, isn't it? This particular tree, if you consider this particular tree, if you consider it is a normal binary tree. It is not a what we call strict binary tree. It is not a strict binary tree. So what I said, what is a strict binary tree? Every node must have exactly 0 or 2. Exactly 0 or 2. But over here, for this B, I have one node, and for G also I have one node, and for H also I have one node. So how I can make this tree as a strict binary tree, in the sense simply by adding one node here, two nodes here, like this you add, and here also you need to add one node, and for N also you need to add two nodes. Okay, and for O also you need to add two nodes. All leaf nodes just add two childs, two children, and all intermediate nodes with one node just add one another node. So like that, if you make it as, so here you can see that conversion from normal binary tree to strict binary tree. I mean whatever nodes are missing, that those nodes we have added, and this particular tree we call it as extended binary tree. Extended binary tree. Hope you understood this one. Only three different types of trees, binary trees we are having: strictly binary tree, complete binary tree, and extended binary tree. Okay, and extended binary tree. Strictly binary tree, all nodes in your binary tree must have exactly 2 or 0 children. Then we call it as a strictly binary tree. Okay, for a binary tree, what is a binary tree definition? Every node in your tree must have either 0 or 1 or 2 nodes. Coming to strictly binary tree, every node in my binary tree must have only 2 or 0, only 2 or 0 children. Coming to the what is the next one? Complete binary tree. Complete binary tree in the sense at every level I need to have full node count. At every level I need to have full node count. That is, if it is level 0, I need to have 2 power 0, one node. If it is level 1, I need to have 2 nodes. If it is level 3, level 2, I need to have 4 nodes. If it is level 4, I need to have 8 nodes, 16 nodes likewise. 8 nodes, 16 nodes likewise. So I need to have the completeness at every level. Then only I call the tree as a complete binary tree. Then extended binary tree, between your normal binary tree to strictly binary tree, whatever nodes are missing, just add those nodes, then it will become an extended binary tree. Okay, so we do not add any, I mean, data nodes over here. When we are converting the binary tree into strictly binary tree, we are not going to add any data nodes over here. We add dummy nodes. We call these things as dummy nodes, as you can see over here. What nodes we are adding? We are just adding the dummy nodes. When you are adding the dummy nodes, yeah, yeah, uh, normal binary tree to strictly binary tree with dummy nodes, we call it as an extended binary tree. Extended binary tree. So the representation of binary tree we can do in two different ways. We can follow the array approach, or we can follow the linked list approach. Okay, array approach or linked list approach. The easiest way is linked list approach. Or array approach, it is a difficult one, and we use a one-dimensional array in order to represent a tree, binary tree, in order to represent a binary tree. And whatever concept we are going to discuss, the implementation concept like insertion, traversal, deletion, all these things, by simply keeping in mind of binary tree concept only we will do. We are not dealing with strictly binary tree, complete binary tree, or extended binary tree. We are not going to that one. Those as concepts only we discuss. Those special type of binary trees as concepts only we discuss, and the implementation point of view we do only the binary tree representation, binary tree implementation. Okay, a binary tree data structure is represented in two different ways or in two different methods. The first approach is using arrays and the second approach is using linked lists. So consider, take the example of this binary tree. Okay, A, B, C, and B is having D, F, C is having G, H, and D is having I, J, F is not having any nodes, and G is having only one node, that is K. Okay, and for A, the left child is B, right child is C. This is very important. Left child is B, right child is C. And for B, left child is D, right child is F. For D, left child is I, right child is J. And for F, we don't have any left or right childs. For C, G is left child, H is right child. For G, we don't have any left child, but we have right child, that is K. So this is in this way we can study. Okay, so the next thing, in order to represent an array, okay, in order to represent your tree data structure, binary tree data structure using an array, we follow this approach. We use a one-dimensional array basically to represent a tree data structure, binary tree data structure. So consider this example, the same example whatever we have studied over here. How many nodes we have in this tree data structure over here? In this particular one, how many nodes we have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 nodes we have. And how many edges we have? How many links we have? 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 edges we have. So it is a tree, and moreover it is a binary tree, as it is having exactly, as it is having 0 2 or more, sorry, 0 1 or 2 nodes, children nodes. Okay, so likewise, so quickly, how we are representing. So in order to represent a tree, binary tree using arrays with n nodes, we need 2n plus 1 array size. How much array size we need in order to represent a binary tree with n nodes? In the sense, we need 2n plus 1 size, 2n plus 1 size array. So what we do over here is, see, in order to represent the same data structure, tree data structure using array, first we start level by level, we proceed. Level by level we proceed. So first we go to level 0, we have only A. So inside the first block, store that A. First block, store that A. Then we have, go to the next level. Then we have B, C full. So B and C you store. B and C you store. Then we go to the next level. Then we have D, F, G, H. So store like that. D, F, G, H. Then again go to the next level. Again go to the next level, and at this level we have I, J. So store I, then J. Then for F, we don't have any left child, right child. So that you represent with hyphens. Left child we don't have, right child we don't have. Then for G, left child we don't have. So one more hyphen. Okay, as G is not having any left child. So then we have K. Then we have K. And for H, we don't have any. So take two more hyphens. And you have to write one extra level as well. Because after leaf nodes also we have to consider one more extra level. So if at all we are moving towards, because these childs, how we are going to represent these ij as leaf nodes? In the sense, if I is not having any childs, if I is not having any children, we consider I as leaf node. Okay, so that terminating point, because when we do the traversal, we come like this, and after reaching I, we need to have the terminating point. That terminating point, how we are representing, means by proceeding to one more level. If we proceed one more level and we put all hyphens over there, all emptiness over there, that will act like an end point to my tree data structure. So that is the advantage of moving towards one more level and adding, because I is not having any left child, right child, so add two more hyphens. J is also not having any left child, right child, add two more hyphens. Okay, then K is also not having any left child, right child, so add two more hyphens. So like this we store. See how much, what we got? A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J. The same thing we got over here. If you see, yeah, in this one, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J I got. Then three hyphens. We got three hyphens. In this one only we got three hyphens. So three hyphens, then K. Okay, then after that 3, 3, 6 to 8. 3, 3, 6 to 8. Like that, we got all hyphens after k also. So in this way, we represent a tree data structure in using array. In this way, we represent not a tree data structure. Tree data structure, it is not possible to represent. We discussed another strategy to represent the tree data structure, isn't it? So over here, it is binary tree data structure. Okay, specific binary tree data structure we can represent with the help of an array, and this representation we use, and the implementation will not do. Okay, implementation, it is a very tedious job, very complicated job, and moreover it is not there in your syllabus. We don't do the implementation using array. We do the implementation only using linked lists, and linked list representation, it is very easy. It is very easy, dead easy, I can say. So every node to represent, like your doubly linked list, we are going to have three parts. Inside the node, we are going to have three parts. Inside a node of a binary tree data structure, we are going to have three parts like your doubly linked list. Over there also, we are having three parts, isn't it? We have the data part, the previous part, the next part. Data part, previous node, next node. Data part, previous node pointer, next node pointer. Over here also, we are going to have three parts in our node. Three parts in our binary tree data structure node. So what are those? The data part, as usual, like your doubly linked list, the left child address and right child address. You can see the data, I mean, the node representation over here. In the middle, we are having the data, and left side, we are maintaining the left child address, and right side, we are maintaining the right child address. So we use a double linked list to represent a binary tree. In a doubly linked list, every node consists of three fields. First field for storing the left child address. Second field is to store the right child address, and the center field to store the data. Okay, the I mean, sorry, if we come like this, first field, second field, and third field, then first field is used to store the left child address, second field is used to store the data, and third field is used to store the right child address, like that, you remember. So in this is the representation, graphical representation of your tree data structure node. It is similar to your doubly linked list node, or we can say your doubly linked list only used to represent the tree data structure. Okay, so the example above, whatever we have over here, so this example I have represented with the help of a tree data, doubly linked list, using linked list representation. I will remove all these things. So how we can represent? First you take a tree, first you take the root node of the tree, and you can represent that using a linked list. So what we were going to have, take a like this, and middle part is going to have a left child, it is going to point the left side address, it is going to point the left child, right side address, it is going to point the right child. So over here, one more box we will get for B. Okay, so over here, one more box for storing D, one more box for storing D, and from D we were having I and J. So this, I think it is better if we do over here. So first what we were having, so quickly go and see. First we were having A, so I'm taking in the middle, I'm taking A, so like this, I'm taking A. So left side to A, we were having another node, that is B. So right side to A, we were having another node, that is C, like this. So left side to B, we were having D, I guess. Left side to B, we were having D, and right side to B, it is very easy. Just by seeing that tree, you can implement. Right side to B, what we were having? F we were having. So here we were having F. Then left side to C, what is there? Left side to C, G we have. Okay, G we have. So put that G, and right side to C, what we have? Okay, what we have here? H we have. So that H you write down. Then, yeah, come again over here. Left side to D, we were having I. So draw that I. Level by level I am going. So I will come over here. Then right side to D, we were having, I guess, what? J. Isn't it? We were having J, I guess, over here. Yes. Then F, it is not having anything. So this will become null and this will also become null. Okay. So for G, left child we don't have, so this will become null. And right side we have what? K. So take another like this. Then K. Then for H, we don't have anything, so this will become null and this will also become null. Okay, come to the next level. For I, we don't have anything here, null. Here also null. J, here null. And here also null. So for K, here null. And here also null. So like this type of representation using doubly linked list we do for binary tree. For binary tree. So that you can see over here. The same thing, whatever I have drawn over here, I have shown over here. A, it is having two nodes, one left child and one right child, B and C. B, it is having two, D and F. F, it is not having anything, neither left child nor right child, so both I made it as null. I and J also, they are not having anything as left child and right child, I made them as null. But G, it is having only the right child, that is K, and it is not having any left child, so I made it as null. So likewise, you can represent your complete binary tree using doubly linked list node, doubly linked list concept. Hopefully you understood this one. So always we are going to have a pointer reference to the root node. Where we were going to have the pointer reference to the root node. Okay, this thing also you have to remember. This is how we represent the binary tree. Binary tree 0, 1, 2 nodes. 0 or 1 or 2 nodes only, not more than that, and not what we call yeah, any of these you can have. 0 you can have, 1 you can have, 2 you can have, but not more than 2. That is the only difference. So yeah, again the node representation, doubly linked list, same node here we are taking, but instead of previous and next we are saying left and right over here, because left will represent left child, right will represent right child. Okay, and the actual data to store the actual data parts, to store the actual data part to store the actual data, and left part to store the left child address, right part to store the right child address. If you're not having any left child, simply make the left pointer as null, and if you're not having any right child, simply make the right pointer as null. Okay, likewise. So this is the graphical representation, and this is the node representation, code representation, we can say C++ code representation for binary tree. For binary tree. So quickly go and see the insert function. First, I mean here the traversal, it is having an important job. Traversal, it is having an important job. So what we do, first we try to have some nodes in my doubly linked list. I mean, sorry, not doubly linked, in my binary tree. Then I will do the traversal. First we create some nodes in our tree, then we do the traversal. So that is the reason why what we are doing, we are discussing the insert operation first. We are discussing the insert operation first. See, my insert operation, it is very simple. I will give you one simple logic for understanding this insert operation, because we will do recursively. This insert operation we will do recursively, and moreover when I gave the definition of the tree, I told you that it is an recursive data structure. At every node we are going to have the recursive representation. See, let us say your root node is null. Your root is null. So what it means? If your root is equals to null, that means you don't have any nodes inside your tree. That means you don't have any nodes inside your tree, and your tree is empty. Your tree is empty. So if your tree is empty and you are inserting a new node, what you do? You will create a new node and you will make that root as this new node. You will make that root as this new node. Okay. Then if you want to add one more node, what you have to do? You need to check whether this root node's left child it is having or not. So if it is not having, just add that new node, I mean the second node as like this. Okay, when you are adding the third node, just check the right side. If it is null, then add over here. If two, I mean all these are full. If all these are full, like this, if it is having root node, it is having left child, it is having right child also it is having. Then again, I want to add one more node. I want to add one more node. Then what I have to do? First root node you check whether it is having null or not. If it is not null, then check left side if it is null or not. If it is not null, then check right side if it is null or not. If it is not null, then go to the left child left side, left side, and do the same operation what you have done at the root level. Do the same operation what you have done at the root level. Or we can say like this. I will come like this. It will give more clarity to you. So first root is null. Then what we are doing? We are inserting our first node. So what we have to do? Simply insert the first node. Okay. Create the first node and make left as null and make right also as null, because after inserting only one node, it is not going to have neither the left child nor the right child. So make both the things as null and make your root node to point this newly created node. Make your root node to point this newly created node. So this type of creation we have to do. Then suppose at this point, if you want to add another node, then what you have to do? First you check the root node. Okay, if it is full, then go to the left child. If it is null, left child is null, again you follow the same strategy what you have followed when you have inserted this root node. What strategy you have followed? Create a node and make the left and right as null. That strategy we have to follow. So what we are doing? If your root node is not empty, then go to the left side of the root node and follow the same strategy. Create a node and add it. So the same thing I will do over here. I will remove this and I will add this another new node and make the left and right as null. So then when you are inserting the third node, what we will do? Again we'll go to the root node. If it is not empty, if it is not null, then we check the left side child whether it is empty or not. Left child, it is not empty. Left child, it is having a node. Then we go to the right child. Then we go to the right child, and if it is null, right child is null, then what we do? Then here also we will follow the same strategy, recursive strategy, how we did with the root node. Create a node and make left as null, right as null. This strategy. Again, when you are inserting a new node at this stage, then what we have to do? Go to the root node and check if it is null or not. If it is not null, go to the child node of the root node, left child node of the root node. It is not null. So then go to the right child of the root node. It is also not null. Then again come back to the left child and check, recursively do the same thing. Recursively, whatever we have done for the root node, the same thing you have to do for this node. Indirectly, what we say means when the root node is when the root node is not null and it is having the left child and it is having the right child also, then we shift our root temporarily to this location. And we follow the same strategy. What strategy? Again, you have to check whether root is null or not. If root is not null, then what we have to do? Again, check left node is null or not. Here left node is null. So what we have to do? Again, create a new node and insert that new node. Create a new node and make left and right as null and insert that node. So like this approach we follow hierarchically at all the levels of the tree. So whatever insertions we are doing, that insertions we are doing recursively. Recursive insertion in the sense at every stage, once the root node is filled with left child and right child, we make the left child as root node and we process the same thing. Again, once the left child is filled, then we go to the right child and we follow the same strategy. And right child is also filled means again we go to the next level and we start from left to right and we follow the same strategy. At every node, we make that node as root node and we perform the checking operation and insertion operation. At every node, we make that node as a root node and we perform the testing and insertion. Testing, for what we are testing, whether left child is empty or not, we are checking that first. If left child is empty, insert the node, newly created node as left child. If left child is not empty, then check the right node. If right child is empty, then insert the newly created node as the right child. If right child is also not empty, go to the next level. Right child is also not empty, then go to the sibling or go to the next node. These two approaches we have to follow. Go to the sibling or go to the if there is no sibling, then go to the right sibling. If there is no right sibling, go to the next level. Okay, so recursively we are doing these insertions and searchings. So for that, yeah, go to your recursive function to insert a new node into the binary tree. The insert function will recursively test for the empty slot to insert the new node into the binary tree. If the tree is empty, the new node will become the root node. This I have explained. So what the insertion function will do means it will check for an empty slot. It will check for an null node so that it can insert the new node at that location. If the insert is unable to find the new node, unable to find the empty slot at that level, it will go to the next level. If the tree is empty, then new node will become the node. If the tree is not empty, then the insert function will recursively traverse till it finds the empty slot. And that recursive, how it will traverse, I have already shown. Level by level, left to right. Level by level, left to right, it will traverse until it finds the empty slot. Until it finds the empty slot. So after finding the empty slot, the function will simply insert the new node into the binary tree. Once it finds the empty slot, what it will do, it will simply insert the new node into that binary tree. See over here, the insert function of your tree data structure, the insert function of your binary tree data structure, it is having hardly like uh, this much of code. 5 points, only this much of code. Okay, this thing you have to understand clearly. And as I said, at every point of time, what it is looking for, yeah, here in this two in this insert function, the first 2 points are creating the node and adding the value. You can see over here, creating the node and adding the values. So that thing we have already seen in your prior data structures as well. Whatever data structures we practiced before this trees, like your doubly linked lists and your singly linked list, there also whenever we are creating a new node, what we are doing, whenever we are adding a new node, inserting a new node, we are creating a new node and we are adding it to the where we are adding it to the we are adding the data part, isn't it? Creating the new node and adding the data part. So that I am doing over here. The same thing I am doing over here. So create the new node, node star new node is equals to new node of, allocate the memory. Okay, then once the node is created, then store the data into that one. How can we store the data? New node of data equals to new data. That's it. New node of data equals to new data, but over here instead of new data, what I said value. I said value. So this value, for our understanding, I can make it as new data as well, for our understanding, new data, so that you can remember, so that we can have the similarity in our coding. Okay, so that we can have the similarity in our coding. Just to have the similarity, I will make that as new node. So now I'm starting the implementation of this data structure. Simply see how easy it is to implement. Okay, how easy it is to implement. So just I'm shifting my attention towards the IDE. So now I have to open a empty file that I am doing. Empty file I have opened. So now what I have to do, yeah, the first step is yeah, after including the header files, we have to write the class, isn't it? So first what I have to do, include the header files. So that inclusion, how we can do, hash include. Okay, then we have iostream.h, iostream.h, then using namespace std, namespace std, then create the class node. Okay, make public int data. Okay, then node star left and node star right, node star right. Close this class. Initially we have to take two variables. The first variable, like your head, node star root. Here we are not going to have any head pointer, we are going to have root and make it as null. Initially there will be no nodes, so we make the root node as null. Then take another one, just to have the count of your nodes, because it is a non-linear data structure. Otherwise, there is no need of this count. As it is a non-linear data structure, we need to have the count of number of nodes. So count initially make it as 0 because we don't have any nodes. Now we write the insert function, and insert function, every time it is going to return the root node. It will do the changes to the root node and returns the root node. So root insert, and to this insert we have to pass the root node. So node star root comma int new underscore data. So like this. So the first step, what I said, we have to create the new node. So node star new underscore node equals to new node of. This is exactly similar to what we have done so many times. Okay, so now store the data. New new node equals to new node of data, sorry, new node of data equals to new data, this much. Okay, whatever data we are reading for this newly created node, that data we are storing into the newly created node. Okay, so next thing we have to check whether the tree is empty or not. That is, if at all your root is equals to null. Okay, if at all your root is null, then what we have to do, make the root nodes left child and right child as null, isn't it? Make the new nodes, sorry, not root nodes, new nodes left child and right child as null, and make the new node as root and count plus plus. Increment the node value, isn't it? Increment the node count by 1. So count plus plus. So what we have to do, new underscore node of next, not next, left, and equals to new underscore node of right equals to null. Make those two as null. Then root equals to new node. Make the new node as root. Then count plus plus. That's it. Count plus plus. So then inside else if, okay, else if root is not null, then we have to move to the left and we have to check, isn't it? That is, in short, what we are doing, yeah, we are checking whether the root node is having two children or not. So how come? If count modulo division 2, if count modulo division 2 equals to is not equals to 0, that means it is having odd number of children. Odd number of children in the sense, as it is a binary tree, only one children. Because what it will do, it will check whether the count is even or odd. Whether the count is even or odd. Odd number of children in the sense, we no need to go for left child, rather we have to go for right child. So that we are doing over here. So in this, what we do, yeah, sorry, here some mistake I have done. So just remove this one. Like this. Then like this. If at all you have odd number of nodes, then what we have to do, root of left equals to insert. Call the function recursively. Insert, again you pass the root of left comma value, that is whatever new data we are going to get, new data. Okay, here you put recursively, we are calling insert inside insert function call inside insert, so it is recursive call. So again, what you have to do, yeah, if this is not solving, yeah, here it is no need of this one. Remove this one, yeah, go to the end and hit the enter key, and one more else for this if. This is actually for this, and for this if, write the else part. Here what we do, if it is not odd number, if your count is not an odd number, sir, here we are checking for oddness of the number, isn't it? We are checking for the oddness of the number. So here count modulo division 2 not equals to 0, we are saying. So whenever the number becomes odd, then only this will happen. Whenever the count will become odd, then only this will happen. Otherwise, whenever the number is whenever the count value is even, this thing will happen. We are doing the insertion at the right side. Right equals to, if you are good in programming and if you have the knowledge of this recursive approach, you can easily understand this one. Root of, okay, right. Root of right equals to, sorry, root of right equals to insert of root of right, comma, new underscore data. That's it. New underscore data. At the end, you put the semicolon. That's it. Once you do all these things, just return from this function. Return from this function. So return. That's it. So now I go and I write my main function, int main of void. And now how to do the insertion? Root equals to insert of, again you have to pass the root and value as 10. First node, root node, I am making 10. Then pass another one, insert of root some 20. So like this. Another one, root equals to insert of root comma 30. So like this. So whatever insertion so far we have done, we have inserted 10. First root node, like 10 we have inserted. Sorry, go to the up arrow and take the marker. So first we have inserted 10, so that 10 will come as the root node. Then we have inserted 20, so that 20 will come like this. Then we have inserted 30, so that 30 will come over here like this. So 10, 20 and 30, this type of insertion we have done so far. 10, 20, 30. If you insert any further, like 40, if you insert, that will come over here. 50 will come over here, okay, and 60 will come over here, and 70 if you insert, that will come like this, okay. So yeah, we have just done the insertion. We have not done any display. We have not done any display. We have just done the insertion. So save this program. I'm saving this program with name tree dot cpp, tree.cpp. Hit enter. The program got saved. Now you compile. Compilation is successful. Stream.h not required here. Just remove that one and save it. Compile. Yeah, return as it is saying. Yeah, return root. Because it is expecting a pointer to be returned. So return root. So next, compile. It is successful. When you execute the program, you won't get any output. As you can see, you won't get, because we are not displaying. So display, it is a concept I mean, it is an advanced concept how we do the display. Because if it is a linear data structure, okay, if it is a linear data structure, we are going to have all our nodes in a linear fashion. Like this, we are going to have all our nodes, and we'll start from head and we'll proceed towards the last node, and we will print all the node values. So that approach we follow in your linear data structure. But being a non-linear data structure, from where we have to start, and after visiting root, what node we have to visit, whether we have to go in this direction or we have to go in this direction. Like if we go in this direction, then again after reading this one, again we have to go in which direction, either this, either this. Likewise, there is many complexities, many troublesome issues we have in this display process, or in this traversal process. Display, I mean, display is nothing but doing traversal, isn't it? Doing traversal. Traversal is nothing but visiting all the nodes and printing their values. So that thing, because it is already more than 1 hour, so the traversal operations we see in our tomorrow's session, hopefully. Thank you very much, students.